All right, another exciting episode of the Joshcast. So what's the Joshcast about? Well, I think it's not the diagnosis, but the study of a nervous breakdown as it happens in slow motion over the course of time for Josh Snyder, hence the name Joshcast. Not cast as in podcast, but cast as in cast a spell of negativity and depression into an otherwise positive world. That is the theme. That's what I'm trying to go for. That's the aim of this podcast. To do the opposite of brighten someone's day. I want someone to listen to this podcast and go, oh, I should pay my bills. So I asked yesterday, what's your least favorite song? And the response was Lovely Day, which I believe is a song that was created in the 1970s, back when days were still lovely, or back when days seemed lovely because of the cocaine. Now, the first thing I noticed when I listened to the song was the protagonist of the song, if you will, was singing something to the effect of, when I wake up and the sun hurts my eye. And that's the first problem right there. If you're waking up and the sun is hurting your eye, my concern is that you're homeless. So really the first thing that has to be sorted out here is we need to get this job situation sorted out, and we need to find you a dwelling. And you know who's not helping right now? I'll tell you who's not helping right now. The government. If only we could have affordable housing for all, then this man could wake up and not have the sun in his eyes. Now, the other possibility, which is much less dramatic, is that where he had placed the bed in his bedroom was not well thought out, and that in the morning the sun shines right through the window, and he forgot to close the blinds last night because it's the 70s, and he was on a drug-fueled bender and with having a bunch of fornication, if you will. And as a result, the sun was in his eye, and that's simply just a lack of planning. And if that's the case, I still can find a way to blame the government. I still think somehow the government is responsible for this. How was your day today? Well, there's not a lot I can complain about. I mean, I'm a rock star. I have women at my beck and call. I have money. I have fame. Well, there's one thing that was bothering me. So I was in bed this morning, and the sun just hit my eye, and the sun hurt my eye this morning. Jesus. Did you close the blind? No, I forgot to close the blind the night before. Yeah, ruined my whole morning. It ruined my whole morning. If not for that, I would have slept in an extra 2 or 3 hours. I would have felt rested. I would have felt better. But then it woke me up. I had to get up, close the blind, then I had to go pee. Then I went back and tried to fall asleep again, and by the time I was just falling asleep again, then I had to get up. It blew it. The whole day was blown. And that is why I do not have a song for you today. Well, maybe that's the inspiration, man. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's how we start the song. So the sun was burning my eye, and then I hate everybody. Yeah, that's probably not the kind of song we want to write. So that's happening with that. My least favorite song, that's a tough one. There's so many songs I don't know of. I have a hard time connecting to, which is ironic, I have a hard time connecting to angry rock, heavy metal. I mean, not emotionally I shouldn't. I mean, I'm right there. And the thing I'll say about heavy metal is that, there's heavy metal versus alternative rock, grunge, that's more depressing. At least the heavy metal, at least they're getting it out, whereas the depression, it just feels like a spiral. But heavy metal, I struggle to connect with that, or not to connect with it, but it doesn't get me excited. But then again, I listen to movie scores, so I don't begin to say that I'm a leader in taste, or that I'm a taste maker by any stretch of the imagination. I do not say that at all. But what I do say is just, the heavy metal is, I find that it increases my anxiety. It's what it does. So that really, it's what I think heavy metal. Here's heavy metal, similar to a Jackson Pollock painting, which also creates the sense of tension in me. Heavy metal is what goes on in the brain of a Jewish mother. That's what goes on. That's that process. And the life of a Jewish mother is dedicated to trying to change that track from heavy metal to, at the very least, alternative. So that's my theory there. I feel like we're losing energy on this podcast. We are losing energy. We are losing energy. Well, at that point in the podcast, he lost energy, and that's where we noticed that's where the ratings dipped. I see. Well, how can we increase the energy? Do we need to? What if we introduce a character? He needs he needs a co-host on this podcast, don't you think? Yeah, I think he needs a co-host. Well, how about a death metal head? How about that as a co-host? Hi, I'm Josh. This is the Josh Cast, and this is my. Well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Snake Boot. Pleasure to have you here. There's no pleasure, only pain, man. Snake Boot. So is Snake Boot your real name? Yes. That's the name that your parents gave you. I wasn't born, man. I was cloned by Satan. Are we really going to go with this guy? Look at me when I'm talking to you. I am looking at you. No, man, don't look at me in the eyes. Look at me in my nipples. What? Look me in the nipples. What? Why? Because that's where you really see, man. The nipples are the eyes to the heart. It's a lyric I'm working on for a new song. I want to sing some of it now. Please don't. I'm going to sing it now. The nipples are the eyes to the heart. Didn't really seem like a song. You just kind of shouted it. Well, that's because the drums and the guitar isn't there, but there is a melody that I was following. A pretty strict melody. Do you want to hear it again? Please don't. The nipples are the eyes to the heart. So is Boot your last name, or do you have a last name? My last name is Alexandro. Snake Boot Alexandro. Yes. Did you see how I hissed there at the end of that S? All right, this isn't working. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't. Well, you need to do something to bring up the energy. Why? Why does the whole thing have to be high energy? Who's telling you that? Have you been on our YouTube page? There are 0 views consecutively. Who is telling you that it needs to be high energy? Where are you getting this impulse? Well, we've done some focus groups. Oh my God. Welcome to the JoshCast focus group. Thank you for coming. Maybe why don't we go around the room and just introduce ourselves? Why don't we start with you, sir? Snake Boot. We already know that you're Snake Boot. You were introducing yourself. We had to get you to stop introducing yourself just to get this thing started. So let's keep moving on. What's your name? Matilda Johnson. Matilda, and why did you decide to take this survey? I wanted $25. Okay, I see. And how are you? My family is being held by an alien. Okay, all right. Well, that's really not the subject of this podcast. They're holding him. They want $25. So I said, well, why don't I do a focus group and I'll get $25, and then you release them. And they said, okay. And so that's what's happening. The aliens want $25. Yeah, that's right. Did they happen to say why? They just need to gas up the ship. $25 to. All right. We need to move on. I don't know why I even bothered asking that question. Sir, what is your name? Snakeboot. No, that. You're saying your name is also Snakeboot. Yep. Snakeboot Richardson. Are you also a death metal head? No, my name is just Snakeboot. It seems like a coincidence that you're in here with Snakeboot, the rock and roll musician. Yeah, it's weird. Never had that before. I thought my whole life I thought I was the only Snakeboot. And did you name yourself Snakeboot? Nope, Mom and Dad named it. They were choosing between that and Tim. And they went with Snakeboot, which is cool. I don't have any complaints. Okay, well, thank you all for being at this focus group. Now I know that we all just heard an episode of the Joshcast, and I just wanted to get your take on it, and see what we can do to maybe help improve the podcast. Why don't we start with the rock and roll Snakeboot? Needs Snakeboot. I was going to be on that podcast, but I was fired. Okay, interesting feedback. I was fired because it was too real, man. I gave him too much. I gave too much. That's why I was fired. I gave too much. Okay, great. Thank you. Matilda, what do you think? The aliens want another $25. Okay. Well, we're only paying you $25 for this session, so you can. I guess you'll have to do another focus group. Okay. Great, but what did you think of this podcast? You know, it's just really hard to concentrate because I fear for my family. So maybe you could have a little bit of compassion. I don't know. Right. Okay. Thank you. All right. And now Snakeboot, the non-rock guy. Yeah, I get it. So Snakeboot. Yes. No. I'm talking to the other Snakeboot. Oh, right. You covered that. Sorry. Snakeboot, what did you think? Well, it's tough to say. I mean, I think he's trying to be funny, which is, noble, I guess. And he's kind of doing, his opinions and then kind of these improvised sketches that he's making up. I don't know. I feel like maybe if he scripted it a bit more, it'd be more prepared. And I do think a co-host might be cool. That way he can bounce ideas off of someone. Well, he's the one thing he's not gonna budge on. He wants to do it himself. He doesn't want to have a co-host. I see. Okay. Well, if he doesn't want a co-host, then I don't know. I think make it better. Make it better. So those are the results from the focus group. Just be better. How much did we spend on that? $39,000. $39,000 for them to say be better. Are you serious? $39,000. Maybe we shouldn't be recording this right now. $39,000. You're supposed to be my manager, man. What happened? What happened? And now I hear that you're Snakeboot's manager. Well, he's got a good record. There's no melody to anything I can't believe this. I can't believe this. You're what are we? I thought we were a team. I guess we're not. I guess we're not a team. Really don't know where to go from there. Here's what happened there. I was watching the movie The Dirt last night, and somehow this turned into the Motley Crue episode. Or a Motley Crue inspired episode. Which is fair. Totally fair and fine. And are they gonna... Okay, I guess I'm gonna turn there. Waiting to see if these people would cross, and they let me go, which was very generous of them. The question is, how do I bring this mighty podcast to a close? How do I bring it to a close? What's a closing thought? Well, certainly one thing to tweet about in the future is, what's the next thing? What is the next thing to tweet about? Favorite dessert. We'll go there. We'll go with the favorite dessert. We'll do that. And, just be good to yourself. You really need to be good to yourself. I don't want to end it with the positive affirmation thing. Well, why else would I be here? You asked me to be here, and now I'm going to give a positive affirmation. Okay? Be good to yourself. Is that even an affirmation? I mean, at least a saying? Okay, if you want a saying. Real horses are good to themselves. What? How much are you costing me an hour? $39,000.